Hello and welcome to this week's Gems of War Guild Event Planner. I am Guardian Namek, Guild Leader of Loot and Plunder. This week's focus is the World event, where we are using red troops, because I have now found that there is no rhyme or reason to what is required. It can be a kingdom, it can be a type, it can be a color. We don't know until Monday. And after running some numbers, here are the units you want to use. Now, as it is effectively a Doom week without the Doom unit, there are a lot of different options. And as it is red this week, we get to do the same teams as last time. I want to say the Doom, recent Doom was red, and that was about like 4 weeks ago, so we already have most of the teams made up. Now, for the newest red team that I'll cover, it'll be the Human Knights of Maugrim Forest. They're not very good, but they can be decent against the beast enemies in this event. There seems to be two main types of groups. There's going to be the Wargear groups and then the beast groups. With the beast groups, you could do something with the Human Knights, as Scarlet gets to do triple damage versus beasts, so she actually gets to do some decent damage at that point. I don't think there's going to be very many lycanthropy gems on the field, as most of the time the beasts don't get to generate any, but maybe the Wargear may end up generating some, and then she gets to do some good damage. However, if there is any lycanthropy gems on the field, he at least gets to do a whole lot by creating a whole ton of red gems. That's about it, though, for that team. If I were to use it, I'd also use something of this sort where it explodes the board. It's not an amazing team, but if you want to use a Maugrim team, the Human Knights do exist. They're pretty okay. The other nice thing is that they are all epic or below, so they are really easy to get. And if you need easy to get units, they might actually do you just fine. Now, another really good unit from Maugrim Woods would be Krampus, as he gets to just do either damage and submerge. Very odd, and not too useful on the submerge part unless you have a unit that also has a chance to kill enemies that are submerged. He can devour them, which is ungodly powerful, or transform them into daemon, knock them to the back, which will make them significantly less powerful. Which, honestly, is basically do a little bit of damage, insta-kill them, or chop them in half, pretty much. So Krampus is probably going to be your best unit from Maugrim Woods that we can use. Now for the classic Adana team, utilizing Tesla, as all good teams should. The main damage for the Tesla Red Adana team is, well, Tesla herself, hence the name. She gets to do an amazing amount of scattered true damage. You can also utilize the Immortal Titanius for similar effects, or as a backup damage to finish off any enemies that Tesla manages not to kill. You can then also utilize Carnex for mana generation. He's not the best at generating mana, I've found. He's decent, but definitely falls short for most explosion-based mana generation. But he also gains armor, which increases Tesla's damage, and it also can punch a lot harder because he gets to add a quarter of his armor as bonus skull damage. Now there are other options as well for mana generation. You can use like the Smash-O-Bot, though it has a chance to just explode itself as well. They do risk that issue. Or the Detecto-Bot, which can give other allies a portion of their mana and create some red gems, potentially. But then also has a chance to just self-destruct, because everything from Tinkertown has a good chance to just go boom. Now, General Edison, while I don't have him as a possible option for the team, He's still also a good option if you like don't have Tesla, but you have General Edison. He can do some good damage as he gets to create a bomb gem on his turn, and then also he does good AoE damage boosted by bomb gems. Now it's not a ton of boosting, but it's a pretty decent amount. And more importantly, with the Immortal Titanius, if you have him upgraded, which I do not, he also gets to create 2 bomb gems at the start of the turn. So you can have 3 bomb gems every turn, and with the destroying of 3 random columns, you could potentially just blow up most of the board, which then would do some good mana charging as well. Now, if you're looking for another quite good red team to use, you can utilize the wildcard Vivian Fields team, as I will call it. Potentially just call it this time. The Catarrary King gets to generate a good amount of wildcards while also doing a lot of damage, very easily charging up your team once again and doing some solid damage. The Centaur Gorgon has a chance to devour the enemy, but in reality it's going to stay at that 10% chance because wildcards have a very high tendency to be used instantly, and so there won't really be more on the field. However, its true power comes from the convert all skulls to wildcards, because then you just have a really good mana generator. Because usually there's a lot of skulls on the field ready for matches. And then you can also utilize like the King Questius, who does AoE damage, and then if an enemy dies, all allies gain half their mana, which is quite nice, as the Catarrary King deals random damage, so it might get someone low on health and prime it for King Questius, and then everyone's mostly charged again. Now those are all legendary units, so you might be looking for some more budget units. You can utilize the Catarrary Warrior, who, akin to the King, gets to deal damage and then create some wild cards, but he's about half of what the King is, which makes sense. Usually legendary characters are meant to be better than their cheaper components. Then you can also utilize Boltorus, as he deals damage and boosted by his life, and if you have someone to heal him, he can do a lot of damage. He's not as good as he used to be, but he's still very good. Now, a really good mana generation if you don't have the Centigorgon is Ragnagord, as he gets to just explode 29 gems of a chosen color, closer to 9 or 10, depending on whatever exists. I guess probably closer to 12, as you get to choose the mana color, and you'll probably choose a good mana color. Now we have the team from Dragon's Claw that we used for the last Duma event. And as such, I still have the infographic. I do wish I had time to make the infographic for this week, but I didn't know what color or what the requirements were going to be. I was thinking it was going to be kingdom or type, and it was neither. So I would have been totally wasting my time, at least for a little bit. I have this wonderful infographic. Nice little team from Dragon's Claw for red. If you have them, the Gingeraxia gets to do some great AoE damage and also be able to heal the allies, so quite nice for keeping your team alive and doing some decent damage. Very solid, I should say, damage-wise for Dragon's Claw Red. And if you want some skull-busting damage, you can use the Drake Eggs or the Nether Worm. Both get to create a bunch of skulls, which allows you to do some good skull damage. And then for the mana generation side of things, the Egg Thief is going to be most likely the best option you can use, as it gets to destroy X number of random gems, boosted by gold, gains some gold, and also summons, but that's a minor thing. But very easily can destroy most of the board, and unlike exploding, where you're only getting half the mana, destroy gets you the full mana, and so you can easily get upwards to 60 points of mana if you have the magic to destroy all 60 or 64 gems on the board. Now, a very good second unit or other option for mana generation is the Dragon Soul, as they get to explode a good portion of the board, deal some AoE damage, and gain you some souls. It's a nice jack of all trades, really nice for newer players if they manage to get them, as you get to do some damage, you get to do some mana generation, and you get to harvest some souls that you probably really need for leveling up new characters. So, very useful character if you have them. The other options as well are the Draconian Sage gets to give the target half their mana. Very nice for units like Gingerexia, which have 17 versus the Draconian Sage's 11. And also gets to barrier and enchant them if they are a dragon. So then you get a nearly guarantee that they'll get charged up. And on top of that, gives them a barrier, which is really nice, honestly. It is amazing how much barrier will actually do. And then we have Divinia, who is quite nice, but is legendary, so you may or may not have them. They get to explode all red gems, get some good mana generation from that, cleanses all allies, heals them, and then on 4 or more ways, due to her third trait, she can give a random positive status effect to a random ally, which is quite nice after putting in the values for what a random positive status effect would be, is actually pretty effective. And we are once again back with Broken Spire and Salamandria's Burning Gems. She is absolutely wonderful, and I am so happy. Once again, we can use her. Like Tesla. Quite literally, if Tesla wasn't also red, I would be using Salamandria. She gets to do wonderful amounts of damage. She explodes all the burning gems, which gives her a ton of mana generation. She deals a ton of true damage to the first 2 enemies, boosted by all those burning gems, which is going to be a lot. She gets to create burning gems in 4 more ways. And the biggest thing is getting more burning gems. Well, there's a few ways to do that. You can utilize the Immortal Pyrrhion from Nexus, who gets to do splash damage, true splash damage, so synergizes well with Salamandria. And if you have them upgraded, which again, I do not, they get to create 2 burning gems at the start of the turn. Very, very nice. And then there are a few other options for both mana generation and burning gem generation. You can use Pyrophemus, who deals some damage. His ability is pretty much normal. But more importantly, he gets to create a burning gem on his turn. So if you have both of those upgraded, you could easily be generating 3 of them a turn, which isn't that much, but it really adds up quite nicely. You can use the Lava Gates, who, akin to a Journey character, gets to create 2, plus 2 more for every red ally, of burning gems. So they can easily make 10 burning gems, which is both great for mana generation and for putting burning gems out on the field. And if you need more than that, well, you can also utilize Maple Goldbark, who gets to create 5 Fairy Fire Gems, and then 5 Burning Gems, and then gain an extra turn. So if you make some accidental 4-ways, you don't give them to the enemy. And also with Fairy Fire, you make the enemy weak to spell damage. So then Salamandria gets to do even more damage. And then some other options that are okay for the fire or burning gem generation are going to be things like the Flaming Rhinox, who gets to create 3 burning gems, also deals some damage, minor, not really notable. Similar with Fire Lizard, deals some damage, but creates 3 burning gems, which is nice. You could theoretically use the Cinder Pelt, as they get to create 10 burning gems if they get a kill, but they don't do true damage, so probably not going to be very useful. And then you could also utilize the Cinder Hand Goblin, who gets to convert 5 green gems to burning gems, so they can also be pretty good. Not as good as Maple Gold Bark, but a little bit cheaper, and you know roughly where the burning gems are gonna end up. And a little while ago as well, I believe, we had a Mista Scales team for red units. Similarly to Maugrim Woods, this team isn't outstanding, but it can be pretty decent and has cheap units to boot. The main kind of thing is that your damage is either going to be coming from the Miststalker, who gets to do true damage, or the Lamia, who gets to charm a random enemy and do some decent AoE damage until there's only a few left, and the Miststalker should be able to wipe up fairly quickly. And then utilizing Marileth for the destroying gems, very nice for higher level or higher magic. And then she gets to act as the mana generation. She does some damage, gains some attack, but mostly she's not going to be your damage, she's going to be your mana generation. Another option for your mana generation is the Plague Rat, as they get to explode some brown gems, and then Poison Disease, it's okay. But more so the exploding of brown gems gets to give you some decent mana generation, and the nice thing is that we get to rely on whatever weapon we want to use as well. So if any team needs some more damage, needs some more mana generation, you can just slap on a decent weapon of that style and carry the team. Well, I do wish I had more infographics to show off all the fun different teams. I really wish I could have made one, because the color teams are very nice to have a nice infographic for, but I didn't know till this morning. But I do hope, nonetheless, that this info was helpful for both starting and veteran players of Gems of War. If it was helpful to you, give that subscribe button a click and hit the like button, as I plan on doing these every Monday, both to help my guild and for fun. Until next week, have fun plundering.